So as I look back over a number of sales interviews we've done over the last several years, and we've done hundreds of them, and really identified the absolute best sales executives we interviewed, we really identified that they tend to focus on three specific things in terms of where they focus their time, energy, and really the resources of their sales organizations. The first one is they place a strong emphasis up and down the organization to get their sales managers and trainers to train their salespeople to sell the way top performers do. This seems obvious, but not all sales executives are really focused on that. The second one is they focus their organization on teaching their sales managers, I'm talking about those frontline sales managers, to coach in an effective way, to teach them how to coach and teach and practice with their sales teams. And the third thing they mentioned to me is they put a lot of energy into building a culture that attracts top performers and repels poor performers. So they want a culture that sustains really strong people, but one that is difficult for poor performers to exist in. So let's take a look at 5 things you can do to make those 3 things happen. Those 3 things again are getting more of your average performers to sell the way top performers do, getting your frontline sales managers to coach in an effective way, and finally building the right culture that attracts the right people and repels poor performers. So let's take a look at those 5 elements individually. The first one is to get your sales messaging sorted out and organized in such a way where your sales team can learn it, practice it, and master it. This seems obvious, but most sales organizations we work with do not have this figured out. You've got to get your competitive advantages and differentiating factors really organized one by one so your salespeople can learn how to communicate them in short 10 to 15 second bursts and also longer 60 to 90 second bursts, one at a time. Every salesperson on your team should be able to identify and communicate 5 to 7 specific competitive advantages of your organization. So that's the first one. Get your sales messaging organized and sorted out. The second one to focus in on is insist on a practice culture. That means to create an expectation with your trainers and frontline sales managers and sales teams that they are going to practice on a weekly basis. That means there's practice in the weekly sales meetings, that the trainers are doing more than just presenting, 1 and 2 day training sessions. They're actually embedded in the sales organization and conducting practice sessions the same way sports teams do it. In fact, something we found about the best sales executives is they approach the sales team much more like sports coaches do. They create practice and the expectation of improvement on a weekly basis. So the first 2 things to focus on is get your sales messaging sorted out, and secondly, get a practice culture going in your organization. All right, the third one to focus in on is simplify your sales methodology. Too many organizations have a complicated sales process that they try to line up with their CRM system that frankly is impossible for the average salesperson to learn and master. So as a result of that, the salespeople kind of flounder on sales calls. Simplify it down to the really bare essentials. Being able to start a sales call off with a good, clear, focused, and engaging agenda. How to ask questions and patiently listen, learn, and understand. How to communicate a clear and compelling solution that's built on individual differentiating factors. And finally, being able to close with clear and compelling options. Simplify your sales process. All right, here's the fourth one. Insist on more output from your training organization. Too many sales organizations focus most of their training resources on new hire training, and this is a big mistake. Although new hire training is important and onboarding and all that, you got to get that right, but it's more important to focus some of your key training resources on the middle, getting the middle of your sales team, those middle performers, to perform more like the top performers. Focus that training energy in the right way. And finally, the fifth area is take a good hard look at your organization and make sure that you are recognizing and celebrating success. Sales organizations need energy that comes from celebration. And the best sales executives create that kind of an environment where you look for success, you recognize it, you celebrate it, the same way sports teams do. When somebody wins, you've got to make a big deal out of it. You need a scoreboard, you need celebrations, you need fans that are cheering, you need incentives, you need all that stuff lined up. But you got to create an environment that really celebrates victory and really recognizes those people that are paying the price and doing the things that create success. So let's take a quick review. The 5 things are: first, get your sales messaging sorted out. Second, create a practice environment that elevates the performance of everybody. Third, simplify your sales process so it can be taught, practiced, and mastered. Fourth, expect more from your training organization and focus them on the middle, not just on new hire training. And finally, take celebration and recognition to the next level. If you do that, you're going to find yourself being able to create those three really key things. You're going to get more of your average performers to perform like top performers. You're going to get more of your frontline sales managers to coach the way sports coaches coach. And you're going to create that environment that attracts and retains top performers and repels people that are not willing to do what it takes to become a top performer. These are the keys we found to building a top performing sales organization that is sustainable and creates top results over the long haul.